This is just a quick video on how to simplify ratios. So you might get a question that specifically asks you to simplify a ratio, but it's also useful for any other ratio questions, because if you're giving a ratio as your final answer, you're normally expected to give it in its simplest form. So we've got a ratio here, which is just 6 to 8. So what that basically means is for every 6 parts of one thing, I'm going to have 8 parts of another. So for example, if I was mixing a squash, this might mean 6 parts squash, 8 parts water, something like that. So you've got to simplify, and it's very similar to simplifying fractions. So imagine if you were trying to simplify the fraction 6 over 8, we'd find a number that goes into 6 and 8 and divide top and bottom by that. So a number that goes into 6 and 8 is 2. So divide 6 by 2, you get 3. 8 by 2, you get 4, and you simplify it to 3/4. So that is how you do it with fractions, and doing it with ratios is exactly the same. So we want to find a number that goes into 6 and 8. That number is 2. You ideally want to try and find the biggest number, but you can always do it in more than one step if you need to, just like with fractions. So if you can't find the biggest number, just think of any number that goes into 6 and 8. Once you've thought of that number, which in this case is 2, divide both sides by that number, which is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And so our final answer, which if you simplify the ratio, is 3 to 4, and you're done. Okay, so example B is a little bit trickier in that this time we've got units, and we've got different units on each side. So this is in millimetres and this is in centimetres. So before we simplify this, we need to write this ratio so that both numbers are in the same units, or else we can't simplify it. So what we normally do is simplify it to the smallest unit. So in this case, millimetres are smaller than centimetres. So this is already in millimetres, so that's fine. We now need to convert this number into millimetres. So how many millimetres are in a centimetre? There are 10 millimetres in a centimetre, which means to convert this to millimetres, we have to times this number by 10. So that gives us 27 millimetres. So all I've done is change this ratio so that both numbers have the same units. Now we can simplify it. So now we're going to think of a number that goes into 6 and 27, and I'm going to divide both sides by that number. So a number that goes into 6 and 27 would be 3. So we're going to divide both sides of this ratio by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 27 divided by 3 is 9. So we've simplified it to 2 millimetres to 9 millimetres. Not quite there yet though, because normally we don't like to have units in our ratio. You'd expect it not to have the units. So because we've now got the same units, we can just write this as 2 to 9, and we've simplified it.